Hello, everyone. My name is Putty, and welcome to the podcast, which just so happens this week to be recorded on a Sunday. I hope you have all had a wonderful, wonderful week. My name is Putty. I do YouTube. I am joined, as always, by our current affairs correspondent who has been working overtime this week to make sure he's up to date on all the current affairs. Tucker Davidson, how you doing?
Up to date as of a month ago.
We're in Corona time now. That's like a year
It's
ago.
it's Canada. We're a month behind. So
Yeah, sure.
versus Britain, which is years behind.
Not all of them.
Putty is literally like 8 years behind
Not
in what
all.
he's watching wrestling.
Well, this week I'm like 30 years behind. So
Yeah, it's what is that? 32 years ago? Holy shit! Holy shit!
So we have a lot of things we're going to talk about today, which we'll get into shortly. But our main topic of the evening, possibly, probably, hopefully, will be a Starrcade 1988, chosen
True Grit.
by Tucker. True Grit.
True
Um,
Grit.
it was a good show, so good job to Tucker for picking out a fun thing to watch.
I
Before we
did
get
it.
into that, Tucker Davidson, how are you doing personally?
I'm doing good. You
Yeah,
know, I've gotten back into watching some wrestling. On a worldwide basis,
worldwide.
our virus cases are they're below 300 today for the first time since March something. So doing well, I guess,
Good.
comparatively. Um, yeah, just been hanging out, putting the hours in, working out like a lot now, like a lot for me. All right, leave it at that. Um, yeah, yeah. 2020 wrestling is it's fucking weird, dude.
Yeah? What way?
Yeah, it's like because there's no like big events really going on anymore. It's a lot of TV matches in front of no crowd, so it's like a lot of the matches feel very phoned in. But then there's the occasional one that I don't know if comparatively it's just because where it is in the card, but all of a sudden like this is really good. I'm like I really like this, and I don't know if it's just a certain set of people will continue to put in that work even though the situation, or what. Obviously, like not condemning anybody who isn't working at their best during the middle of you know all this insanity, but I don't know. It's something I try to keep in mind.
I mean, I think we're all in agreement that Roman Reigns is a piece of shit, right?
Oh, absolutely. How dare he? His personal health, his children's health. What's wrong with him?
He is really
You heard,
like. I think we all agree, yeah, that
have
he.
you heard that came out or whatever yesterday?
No,
He
go
was,
ahead.
he was
You're the current affairs
all
correspondent,
right,
Tucker.
all right.
I'm the editor.
So yeah, Roman talked about how he himself he thinks he'd be fine. Like he went to the doctor or something like that, and he was like, "Yeah, you're fine," but he's got he had twins or something like that. He himself, yes, alone, gave birth to twins. Um,
Nice.
I want to say it was like 7 weeks ago or something like that. He said. So if you take that back to WrestleMania, that would have been like a week, 2 weeks. Like wow. And so yeah, he was like, I wouldn't want to bring anything back home to them. So
Well, yeah. I mean, that is from
he's
what
so
I.
selfish.
Well, from what I've no, that doesn't seem to make much sense. But I haven't looked. I haven't bothered with the news or anything. That's your job.
I totally like no, trust me. Like I'm fully aware that what he says might not make any sense, but if you cast it back to where we were, like a month and a half ago, I don't necessarily remember how much we knew when because he pulled out sometime in March, right? So who
Well, the Miz
knows?
did the same thing, right?
What's that?
Miz did the same thing, right? He had a kid that was being born.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So all of a sudden it starts to make more sense.
get some
Um,
paternity leave in there.
yeah, good shit, boys. Good shit. Um,
But no, Roman is the scum of the earth, and we should be removing him from every promo going forward.
exactly. Erase him.
Yeah.
All those Make a Wish dates you did, they don't matter, Roman. You're a terrible human. You wouldn't wrestle for my amusement. Um, yeah, I don't
I
know.
saw that
You
the UFC had a show yesterday.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I was gonna watch it, and then I didn't.
Uh, yeah, exact same. I was going to watch it just to see necessarily like how they were doing it. I just didn't. I just didn't end up doing it. Instead, I watched. No, instead I worked out.
for
So
for 5 hours.
no, not for 5 hours.
Oh,
For an hour and a half. But
okay.
and then I went to bed.
Amazing.
Slept in until like 1.
Amazing.
You know,
Only one? What time did you go to sleep?
5:30 a.m.
I feel like 5 to 1 is not oversleeping.
No, it's not. I would like to have slept longer, but you know, I have responsibilities such as this.
Wow, this didn't.
I'm joking.
This.
I'm joking.
You made this.
I did make this.
So I feel like if I feel like that is a bad faith discussion there. Yeah. What do you what's the future of good old Tucker Davidson looking like at the moment?
At the moment, we are. Well, my immediate future is there's a possibility that our stay-at-home order will expire on the 19th. So that will be somewhat interesting to see if they hold with that or not. We've slowly been opening things as our cases have continued to go down.
Your new
Doing so.
cases are going down. Are your active cases going down?
Our active cases are below our recovered. I know that for sure. I'm not sure all around, but I do know that the new cases per day have been going down pretty much consistently. Like your occasional spike, but that's to be expected.
Yeah, I heard something this week that finally hit, like kind of changed the way I was looking at it. I was like, oh yeah, that is right, because I was just trying to think, like, because a lot of places are talking about relaxing some stuff, right? So
Right.
there's a lot of talk about it, and I was just thinking, like, how would you figure out when is the right time if you're not going to do it based on economic needs? If you're going to do it on like strictly health needs, and I was thinking, yeah, it's not about the new cases, it's about the active cases, because nobody's getting any immunity while they're.
That's a good shout. I should look
Stay.
into that actually, because that's an interesting thing to
Because what
consider.
you got to think about is like the likelihood of people getting it as they go back out, and that's based on
Right.
active cases, right? So
I believe our active cases, if I'm not wrong, our active cases are around 3,000, and it's suspected that.
pretty low, I think.
Yeah, and it's suspected that I think it's maybe 60% of those are in long-term care homes. So you're looking at 1,000 something that are out in the general population.
They're not.
And they say 80% of them are in Toronto area, which thankfully I live outside of. So,
I mean, all Canadians live in Toronto, as far as I'm concerned.
that's true. Yeah, I built myself from Toronto for a while just because it was easy to just say.
From Toronto?
Yeah, I just told people I lived in Toronto because fuck it. You know what I mean, it's close.
I feel like
They get it.
I feel like the common people term for telling people you live somewhere isn't "I build myself from Toronto."
I don't know what you're talking about.
I feel myself at 225 pounds. I stand. You know, my bill height is like 7'2". You know, it's a work, brother. But you know,
I have, if we're ready to move on, some stuff that I've watched in 2020 recommendations
absolutely.
from this past like 2.5 weeks here. I'll tell you the dates of the shows or whatever if you want to go check them out. Not you, obviously, you're not watching it. But anybody else.
Is it good enough that I should?
No. None of it's like over the top amazing. It's just some solid stuff if you wanted to go watch it, wanted some interesting things. So from NXT UK, that aired on March 26th, 2020, Fabian Eichner and Marcel Barthel taking on Oliver Carter and Ashton Smith. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it. I was kind of shocked.
I cannot believe you're recommending something from NXT UK, given your history with that brand.
It's a rough fucking brand, dude, but they occasionally pull out some good shit. They've got good workers there. It's cool. Just there's a lot of Travis Banks also, so it's unfortunate.
Well, I'm a big fan of Mr.
Oh, I'm not. So
Buzzsaw. My 2017 Wrestler of the Year, Travis Banks, actually.
I'm aware you like him a lot, which is why I'm so shocked always whenever he comes out, and I'm always like, oh, fucking this guy, I hate him.
Wait, is he which alignment is he working?
He's a face.
Oh, well, it's his best role, so I'm okay. No defense.
He's just boring to me, man. I get nothing out of him. Like, he's just nah.
Okay.
Every time he's in a match, I always think somebody else could be in that match and do a better job than him.
Wow.
Amazing.
I mean, things change, so who knows?
It's fair.
I might feel the same way.
From 205 Live on March 27th, 2020, Isaiah Scott versus Joaquin Wilde. I don't understand Shane Strickland. He sometimes puts on the most boring match in the card, and other times I'm like, oh shit, this guy's kind of cool. These are some nice things he's doing here. It's fun, two guys who can move around quite well. Not so much flippy even for these two, like you would expect.
I don't think I'd expect anything from either of these people.
I don't expect anything from either of them, which is why I'm always every once in a while I'm like, oh shit, Shane Strickland's okay.
Shane Strickland was very hyped at one point as being pretty good.
He went from being the figurehead of MLW to I have the mid-card match on 205 Live against fucking Joaquin Wilde. It's God, don't sign to WWE, really, just don't. Stay away. You'll be fine, I promise.
Probably making a lot of money, though.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, you're probably making good money. So, actually, at this point right now, if you have the choice, sign with WWE. Absolutely. You might get to wrestle also.
I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing.
It's better than most places. Well, if you like wrestling.
If you like wrestling, yeah. And
you really like wrestling.
And don't care that much about your health.
Or anybody else's health.
Although, I suppose if WWE are going to be wrestling anyway, you signing for them isn't going to affect anybody unless you live with someone who's old.
It's true. Yeah. It was weird because then all of a sudden I started to ponder something because on NXT from April 1st, another decent match here is Kushida, one of Kushida's rare appearances on television. He takes on fucking Joaquin Wilde in another pretty good match, and I'm like, wait a fucking minute. I don't like him. What's going on here? I don't think that Joaquin Wilde's overtly good, but I'm now wondering if he's carryable.
Well, I don't know. There's a common denominator.
I know, that's the thing. But I'm trying... Hold on, I'll scroll up real quick. I'll find the most recent Joaquin Wilde match I had before that. I give it a 2. But here he's facing Danny Burch. So, we're not necessarily talking ultra entertainment. Anything else here I have from Joaquin Wilde? I know I have a couple things from him, but just where is it? Here he's facing Raul Mendoza in a 2.25. I don't know, maybe just a good. Here he's facing Raul Mendoza again in a 2.5. Okay, apparently he just fought Raul Mendoza. There's another Raul Mendoza match. What the fuck? Okay, anyways. And then I would also recommend checking out also from the April 1st NXT. Damian Priest versus Dominic Dijakovic versus Keith Lee for the North American Championship. Fun little triple threat there. Mostly uses the triple threat to its advantage. I noticed a couple times or whatever where it was clearly doing the formula of knock one guy out, he goes to the outside, the other two do a one-on-one before one guy comes in, knocks the other guy out, do a one-on-one. But there's a couple spots in there, especially in the opening, where they really do work. To the three of them, they're all three big, kind of athletic guys, but also have some power to them. Kind of creates a kind of cool dynamic where all three of them are fighting. At least Dijakovic and Priest are very similar build, but Keith Lee's built very different from the two of them. He's not as tall, but he's more stocky. And yeah, it's kind of just interesting to see what's up.
Is that random Slavic name you're saying the new name for Donovan Dijak?
Yes.
Can you say it again?
It's Dominik Dijakovic.
Dijakovic. I like it.
Yeah.
Is it Dijakovic and not Dijakovic?
They say it both ways on TV
Okay.
constantly.
I see.
He's been around for like a year and a half. They don't know how to pronounce that name, but it might be Dijakovic. But I just
on where it's from, like where
it doesn't have an accent on it ever, so I just choose
I doubt
Dijakovic.
they would put the thing on it though. Hold on.
That's fair.
Is his ancestry from somewhere?
I don't know.
I'm curious now, just because obviously I've spent a lot of time in those countries. Anyway. What do we think? So, what do you think about the Money in the Bank match, Tucker?
They stole my idea, and I'm waiting for my check in the mail.
Anything else? Any other thoughts?
I briefly know who I think's probably going to end up winning. I think there's a decent shot Baron Corbin wins the men's one.
Yeah.
Because the men's field is like, I want to say it's like Otis.
Oh, there's no way Baron Corbin wins this match.
It's like Otis, Apollo Crews, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, Baron Corbin.
Apollo Crews isn't in there. It's Daniel Bryan,
He won't win it.
Mysterio.
He won't win it.
Aleister Black.
He could win it.
And AJ Styles was Otis.
He won't win it. Okay, so it'll probably be Black then. The women's field will probably be Shayna or Asuka, I assume. I think Asuka could do some fun stuff with that because she's, I don't know how, but like she went from being very low, obviously on like the perception scale of the company, to where like I don't know, they really like her now. I guess because her promo work is fucking amazing. Like she's a really good fucking promo and never says anything in English. So.
Despite being completely fluent.
Yep.
I love it.
It's just, what's she doing? She's speaking foreigner. Boo.
I just like the idea that they come to her every week with an English script and she's like, oh yeah, I'll say it. And she goes
like, sure,
yeah, of course. And then they're like, you'll definitely speak English this time. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. And she just goes out there and does it anyway. Also, I'm being told that R-Truth versus MVP is the main event.
Yeah, that was added last night. R-Truth versus MVP was added. MVP
signed with the WWE.
So MVP is a manager right now. He doesn't wrestle. R-Truth hasn't been on TV since before or at WrestleMania, I guess, when he lost the 24/7 belt to Gronk. Who is now going back to football, meaning that the 24/7 championship might just be done, actually. They've been wanting to kind of write it off for a while, supposedly.
Didn't they just introduce it?
No, they introduced it like a year ago now.
That's very recent.
Yeah, but when you think about, like, the hardcore titles 24/7 rule, which this is very much trying to be.
No, I don't think so. I think it's very
You don't think so?
I'm kidding.
It's a comedy spot. Like, oh, okay. I'm like, really? I'm like, Jesus. Am I going to have to, like, justify how those two relate? Like, comedy spot, weapons. No, but, yeah, that could just be the way that they kill off the belts. R-Truth, like I said, hasn't been on TV, so that's a very random match. But supposedly, if the dirt sheets are to be believed, we're getting an Apollo Crews heel turn, and he's joining a stable led by MVP that also consists of Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink, who I've never heard of. Who the fuck is Brendan Vink? No. I swear I keep up with this product. I don't know who the fuck Brendan Vink is. He's like some guy. I think he's a member of TMDK. He's like another TMDK guy, and that's why he's with Shane Thorne. But I don't genuinely know, so I just assume that's where he's from. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird shit. I don't know what's going on over there, but I am about a month behind, so we'll see if it all starts to come together.
Okay. Well, yeah. What are you planning on doing on Silly Tech?
Still just kind of waiting for mods to kind of be announced for 2020. Starting to kind of peruse the forums daily, looking into what kind of different things are out there. I know what I want to do. I kind of want to do that JCP80s idea, which obviously was somewhat of an inspiration for watching this show. But I don't know if there's not a mod that I really like out there for it. That idea could always change. So,
Wait, so what's your current plan?
current plan to do nothing.
Okay, sure.
Yep.
Well, good luck with that. All right.
It's going well.
Is it though? Are you really happy with that?
Yeah. I'm not terribly unhappy with it. So, I don't know. I feel like something you'd either be terribly unhappy with or you'd be okay with, and that would kind of tell you how you feel right now.
What
So,
do you mean?
like, if I didn't feel right, then obviously, like, I'd do something.
Would you?
But
though?
it feels. Yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure that's true, but
Man, we're gonna steer back into this and never talk about Starrcade.
we'll talk about Starrcade. I don't have too much desire now to push in this, but I think there have been examples in the not too distant history of you having a desire to do something and not doing it. I don't think you accomplish all of the things you want to do. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're fantastic.
I mean, I am fantastic, but I don't see how that relates.
It'd be very impressive if you accomplished everything you wanted to. That's all. Very rare human thing. All right.
Right.
So, Starrcade. What's the deal? Why did you want to watch this? What the fuck are we doing here?
So I booted up Cage Match and I looked up Starrcade. I originally wanted to watch Starrcade 83. The very first Starrcade, right?
Mm-hmm.
I started like looking at it, looking through it. Apparently the card sucks outside of the main event.
Oh, so different to this one.
Literally, though. Well, I was told that the undercard was quite good according to both Cage Match and the WON. So that's why I was like,
quite good.
Really?
Yeah, I was fun.
I'd call it kind of underwhelming, the undercard stuff.
Underwhelming?
Yeah.
It depends. It was hard for me to put a grasp on how significant a show this is supposed to be. Why don't you fill me in?
This is very insignificant on the timeline. All of this stuff doesn't really matter in the long run. I mostly just chose it because like everybody on Cage Match was like really good, and I'm like, all right.
Is this supposed to be the showcase show of the year, or is it just another show?
Yeah, so Starrcade is the super card, right? So it started as the culmination. You bring in all your champions or whatever, all your hot feuds from across the territories or whatever, and they'd be in one card on pay-per-view for the entire nation to see, right? It'd be your like one chance a year to check out, I don't know, that guy who only works that territory or something like that. By now, though, JCP is starting to collect assets and start to push towards going national. It kind of started that in '85 during the Four Horsemen, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes feud. But now we're in full on like grab talent. Fuck the NWA. We're still using its name, but fuck it. Like we're the NWA in name alone. Like we're our own company.
Okay, so it is supposed to be the biggest show of the year for them.
Yes, this is the big one. Yeah.
Okay, in that case, I would. That's probably fair to say that the undercard was underwhelming. But that being said, I think it's hard sometimes to put a wrestling show together. Like I don't know, it depends on your construction of it, right? This isn't. The Marshall is responding to my things, and he's giving me very complicated concepts. So I'm very distracted sometimes. I'll look over, I'll see something, I'll be like, "Oh, that's really interesting," but I don't understand it, and then I'm going like wrestling. Okay, so Yeah, I think it's really hard to put a wrestling card together sometimes. That's set up in this way without kind of condensing it and leaving people off the card and stuff like that. Like if you're gonna put together what was this 6 or 7 matches, um,
Uh, 7.
7 matches, yeah, on a major wrestling show, have it take 2.5 hours. Like you're looking, it's hard, I think, to put together a star-studded top to bottom show, and you should concentrate on putting together two singles co-main events, which they kind of did with a cool down in the middle, and they
Yeah,
both succeeded. So like I have little I think the construction I think we look at things a little differently, and that's fair. Like I agree with you, I think, and I don't know whether this is something you would consciously say, but I hear this subconsciously from you. So I'll agree with your subconscious that I would prefer 5 matches, 20 minutes each, bangers, right?
yeah.
But I also think that the variety's cool, and it's good to see different styles of cards. Um, and you see this one a lot, and I think this is like a good example. And like I'm fine. I'm fine as long as the undercard does its job. I'm fine letting the promotion tell me what should be valuable, right? So if they tell me we have 2 main events and then the rest is there just to entertain you and not really make you think that much, then I'm like, okay, sure, I'll buy into that. I don't have to like I don't have to have the undercard before or higher for the show to be like a classic. And that's why some cards like SummerSlam and Money in the Bank 2011 and I mean, my biggest example when people actually go back and watch it would be like our Evolution, because it has some matches people are not gonna like on that card, but like I still think that's one of the best like cards in the history of American wrestling.
That's
Um, Go on.
that's really interesting, actually, considering something that we talked about before, which was our opinion on consistency versus peak, where what I mean, you're kind of advocating a little bit for like a card where you're kind of built on these two big matches, where I think I'd prefer like a card of either consistently good, or obviously in an ideal situation every single match is like the greatest thing I've ever seen for its own individual reasons. um yeah, I don't know, just interesting point there I thought of while you were talking there.
So, yeah. So what is where do you want to start? Or do you have anything else to say about this card before we dive in?
Not really. I know a little couple things about the setup to each match that I've kind of looked into.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I could elaborate on that or whatever beforehand if we wanted to before we got into the match itself, or not. Whatever you want to do.
Well, I mean, this is your show, brother. Whatever you want to do, friend. I am I'm not here for the '80s. I know you're the current affairs guy, but I am I am strictly here to discuss 2010. So if you, that is my area of expertise. Any other year, it's your business. Okay, so what do you want to do?
Um, you want to just start from the top, work our
The
way down the card.
Okay, sure. Yeah, go for it.
So we open up with the NWA United States Tag Team Championships as the champions, the Fantastics. Tommy Rogers and the other one take on Dr. Death, Steve Williams, and Kevin Sullivan, the Games Master.
The Games Master.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think about like the United States Tag Team Championships as an idea, like a mid-card tag team championship?
Yeah, I think it's fine, especially on like a territory's like level or scale. I'm fine with that. It just depends on how seriously you take your tag team wrestling and stuff like that. I think belts are a useful tool. As long as you treat them with the right level and you define what they're for, I'm fine with stuff like that. I tend to have a lot of belts. If they like, it depends on the promotion, right? This is kind of sportsy, so I think a lot of belts is like useful. I think you always gotta ask yourself the question, because I do this a lot with my whenever someone just puts in a mid card belt, I'll just ask. You've always got to ask the question, why is there a belt for losers in your company? And as long as you have an answer for that, that's fine. But like, if you're just like, well, so the losers can have something to fight. Okay, but what does it mean then? And generally speaking, I think I prefer belts that can be fit into categories, so like weight belts, and like a United States Tag Team title works because it's just a regional tag team championship. Um, so yeah, that would be what I would say to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, obviously, because I've like grown up and grown into wrestling only knowing like the tag team has one belt. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what there is.
Yeah.
I think definitely how I feel about it, like, it's kind of like, why does this exist? This is weird. I think that's definitely just because it's not something you see nowadays. It's always been something that has challenged me when like thinking about it. Like, what the fuck do you do with this? Because it just seems like inherently maybe you could be fighting for one prize, but at the exact same time, like, there's mid-card belts in like singles wrestling. So why would tag team wrestling be any different? I think the reason why the United States tag team belts though still exist this late, because I don't think they exist much longer after this, is because the Legion of Doom is sitting on the World Tag Team belts. Like, and they are not moving. At least that's the feeling that I got from this show. And so it's almost like to compensate for that, there's another belt that could move around everybody else while the Legion of Doom just murders everyone. I don't know whether or not you think that's good or bad. It's weird, I'll say that. This match, though, build-wise, I couldn't find much about it. I know I just said, like, oh, I looked into the storylines and shit for this. I couldn't find much about this. From what I know, it's mostly just trying to get the belts onto the Varsity Club and making them more of, like, an established heel act now.
No, they're breaking up.
Well, not necessarily breaking up, but they're unified now.
They're segmenting.
They're coming back together.
Coming back together?
Yeah. I'll explain that
one of
later.
Leaving, right?
Yes, one of them has been kicked out in favor of Dr. Death.
I see. Dr. Death,
so,
noted member of School Sports Society.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, what did it say? It just said Oklahoma. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it's just like Oklahoma. I'm like, yes.
Ah, yes.
And Kevin Sullivan, who looks like he lives in a fucking sewer.
The Games Master.
The Games Master.
PE teacher Kevin Sullivan.
Literally, I'm like, what the fuck?
Fucking.
What do you think about this match?
It was fun. It was schlocky. It was fun. I wasn't offended by it. But I think my thoughts on most of the undercards can be summarized by that message I sent you last night, where it's like, okay, there's a bunch of really big guys who know how to bump, and that's about it. Who just wait a couple seconds and then do another bump. That's pretty much how all these matches would turn out.
Yeah, this was a really big showcase, I think, for Dr. Death, especially in the context of, like, he's just joined the Varsity Club. I'm not sure whether or not he was in the company beforehand or not, but if you take it with the idea that maybe he wasn't, all of a sudden all his power spots make a lot more sense. Like, why he's pumping a military press above his head. They're trying to get him over as this big, like, freak of nature. A really interesting spot here from the Fantastics, though. They do a double monkey flip. Like, the one guy goes to do a monkey flip and can't move Dr. Death, so the other one runs in, and they both monkey flip him out of the corner. Just kind of cool. I haven't seen that much before. And it's weird, too. Something that I noticed is that there's a lot of baby faces cheating on this show. Like, I'm like, the NWA is just so fucking confused about who the good guys and bad guys are. Which is funny, as are their fans.
Yeah, I didn't know who the good guys and the bad guys were, so that didn't really stick out to me, like it seems to.
Yeah, the Fantastics are like this like super babyface tag team, even though they're dressed up like male strippers, and which is like very much a heel gimmick.
Well, everybody's dressed up as a male stripper, I think.
That's true. It is professional wrestling.
Well, this show in particular was very much like everybody's blonde,
They have like little bow ties too. Do you see that? They have like little bow ties. Like it's like, oh my. But yeah, if I'm not wrong, the Fantastics, they're kind of like the JCP version of the Rock and Roll Express, if I'm not wrong. Like, it's kind of that same idea. They're like a smaller tag team, but they get by on their speed and their ability to, work together. You hear tag team specialist a lot during that match from the commentary, which is, as I've learned, basically a way to be like, don't worry, folks, even though these little guys would get fucking murdered if they ever fought anybody else, it's because they're together that they're good. It's just a kind of way to feed into the believability that two smaller guys could contend with Dr. Death.
But just Dr. Death.
Just Dr. Death. Kevin Sullivan's barely in this match, which is my favorite part.
The Games Master!
Games Master. He just sits on the side and he's like, military press.
The Great Wizard himself!
The Taskmaster. Yeah, you mentioned, and I saw it immediately, the kick out, but just late.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're not a big fan of that. I'm not really that big of a fan of it either.
I don't know. It's very unsatisfying to me.
Put him over. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was meant to show Dr. Death as a killer. Put him over. Like,
I get it, because it's meant to be like, oh, he almost didn't get him.
We'll get a rematch, down the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just feels weird.
It doesn't feel. Like I said, a lot of wrestling for me is about like manipulating an emotion and building and stuff like that, and to have your climax and then have it be like, kind of, is a bit weird.
Yeah. Especially on a title change. Obviously, these aren't like major belts.
Well, that happens on like most of the show.
Really, I wasn't watching for it further out, so I'm necessarily.
Sure it happens in the main as well.
It does. Yeah. It does happen to me, and I got really angry though. I was like, "Fucking Luger." But yeah, I thought this was an alright match. I think the finish hurt it a little bit, just because, it's not necessarily for me.
No Russian Assassins, 0 stars. That's my final conclusion on the match.
I give this a 2.25.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't rate anything. I think
that's fair.
The only stuff that I like have an idea of what I would give is the 2 singles title matches at the end of the card.
Right.
I can talk a little bit about that, but again, I don't have any solid ratings for anything.
It's very hard, I think, to rate this show because, like, I was constantly like, man, these matches are kind of like. They're kind of boring in here. And then I had to be like, fucking stop. I'd pause. I'd take a walk and be like, you're in 1988. Like, I'm like, you need to just delete everything going forward from your fucking memory and take this as it is.
I don't know if I agree with that. But what I will say is a lot of these matches had a lot of just fun stuff in them and a good pace to them. And they end up, almost all of them go too long.
I definitely agree with that. There's points where it's like, there's a really good open, the middle dies, and then the finish is nice, and I'm always like, I'm conflicted about that. Anyways, yeah. Let's move on to the original Midnight Express. Loverboy Dennis Condrey and Ravishing Randy Rose taking on with Polly Dangerously, I should say.
Yes.
Taking on the Midnight Express, beautiful Bobby Eaton, and
Stunning Stan, was it?
No, I think it's Stunning Stan, isn't it? Shit. Can't believe I forgot one. It should be Stunning Stan, though, but I don't think it is.
They called him 2 different things in the match. I think one of them was Stan the Man. And then I think there was another one.
No, it'd be that same formula, like Beautiful Bobby. Then
I remember noticing it because they did the formula early, and then in the middle of the match they did something that they did that or something similar. And I was like, that's not part of the formula. And I just started thinking to myself what they originally called him because they definitely swapped it. Something. Sweet Stan, maybe.
Sweet Stan, I think. Yes, that is it, definitely, because it was something that was like, what? Yeah. This is a fucking weird match.
Yeah.
This is heel versus heel, I guess, but it's not.
This went 18 minutes, by the way.
My first 2 notes are, who the fuck is supposed to be the babyface here? And, oh Jesus, the original Midnight Express looked like fucking carnies.
I think it's the Midnight Express with Cornette.
Yes, the Cornette Express are supposed to be the faces because they're supposed to be like the devil you know what I mean, compared to these guys who've come in and harassing them. I have to ask about this, like, aside. I already mentioned they look like fucking carnies.
Yeah.
Randy Rose.
Yeah.
What a beautiful man.
These are all well, actually one was is this a meme because one of the four people was very ugly and it stood out. Was it him?
Yeah, he's the one with the big mustache, and he's like, Dennis Condrey's got like the full-on beard. Bobby Eaton's the one who's slightly overweight. Stan Lane is the only one who might look somewhat attractive to somebody. They're all like obviously that's the gimmick with the Midnight Express. They're heels, right? So they're supposed to be a little bit hypocritical. But like it's just so funny that each of them has like their own level of like, oh man. Yeah, Randy Rose is. I saw him and immediately went, oh my god, like that man is a hero. He like looks like an old plumber, like he's.
Not Vince. Whoever, I don't even know who runs this show. Who runs this show?
At this point, 88, I think it's Dusty still.
Okay, so Dusty Dusty wouldn't give anybody roids, right? Who's giving out the roids?
I assume they're just finding the roids on his
Is
own.
it Flair? I bet it's Flair. Flair's giving out all the roids.
It could be Flair. I don't know. Obviously, Bobby Eaton didn't get any.
They've all got the roids, alright? I'm telling you.
So, yeah, this match it's weird, right? Because, okay, so when the Midnight Express first came to Jim Crockett Promotions here at the NWA, it was Dennis Condrey and Bobby Eaton. And then, so Condrey and Rose had teamed in the early 80s as the Midnight Express.
Right.
Condrey and Eaton then started a team as the Midnight Express. They went to the NWA and teamed as the Midnight Express. Then Condrey got fired in 87. They brought in Lane to replace Condrey, and so they're the Midnight Express. The exact same time in the AWA, Condrey and Rose teamed back up as the original Midnight Express, because they were the original Midnight Express. And now, since the AWA it's either dead or basically dead in 88, they're here now, and they're gonna fight the Midnight Express.
You're forgetting Norval Austin.
Nope. No, I'm not.
You're not forgetting
Nope.
Norval Austin? Okay.
Nope. No idea who that is.
Sure. Okay, cool.
Um,
Alright, well. Yeah, so you have anything else you want to say about this match?
Cornette gets the biggest pops of the entire match. The crowd really loves Jim Cornette. I don't know why. They're fucking. Maybe they just hate Paul E like really badly. But they also hate Cornette really badly. So I think they might just love Cornette now. I don't know. It's a lot of just like
the business. He exposed the business when he turned face in this match.
It's just like cheating.
Can I put out there that I think Jim Cornette in 2020 would hate this match?
I think there's a certain chance he would too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he would really hate this match. It was fun. It wasn't good.
It was fun, yeah, but I would agree. It's not good. My favorite thing though at one point is they're working over Eaton for a very long time. They tag in Stan Lane and here we go, big hot tag. Stan Lane's kinda like, and then he goes like, yeah, and then gets a punch and he's like, yeah, guys, and there's another punch, and I'm like, oh boy, Stan, please stop. Like, just stop. Do anything else. Not a lot of babyface fire here.
Yeah, I remember that exact spot, and I was thinking.
And I was like,
halfway through, I was like, "Was this your hot tag?"
Yeah, I was like, "Oh!" I at one point said, "I just wrote this down." He looks like a less impressive Lex Luger.
Oh. No.
Yeah. And then I obviously said the people all pop really, really, really big for Teddy Long holding up a big ass telephone in the ring. They're going crazy. They're like, yes, Teddy, he hit him, and he's like, oh my god. Yeah, Teddy Long is a ref, phenomenal. Love him.
Yeah, I love his hairstyle on this show. It's amazing.
Did you notice also he only reffed tag team matches?
I didn't. That's cool.
He reffed the first 3 matches, and then the last 4, one of which was a tag team match, were all by Tommy, whatever they said. Tommy Young?
Had he managed a tag team yet, or was this after?
No, he's still just a ref at this point. He won't manage a tag team until, I want to say 93, 94.
Cool.
Or no, it'd be Doom, so 91, 92. Yeah. So yeah, he's just a ref at this point.
Cool. Well, can we move on to the main event?
Obviously, yeah, we can.
All right, so the collapse of the Soviet Union, as I'd like to
Oh
call
my.
it.
So here's our story, folks. Nikita Koloff turned on Ivan Koloff when
Oh
he
my.
sided with Dusty Rhodes.
Uh, uh, uh,
Ivan
uh,
Koloff hired the Russian assassins to take out Nikita Koloff, and they did. And now, without a proper
wait,
employer,
what do you mean they
Russian,
did? They killed him?
he's not on this card, Putty.
Is he dead?
All I have to go by. Why is Dusty Rhodes not teaming with him later? I just assume they must have killed him.
Oh
and
no!
so
Why
now
is
that
Sting
Nikita's
teaming?
gone,
Is Sting a heel?
no,
Okay. Is Dusty a heel?
no,
Is Nikita a heel?
no.
Oh! Okay. That all makes some more sense now.
Well, now, because since they already took out Nikita, the Russian assassins have turned on Ivan, which is weird, because if you're an assassin, that's probably not how you want to do business. You're probably not going to get very many jobs doing that, guys.
Unless Nikita negotiated his way out of the situation. Eh?
Could have, yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean,
that happens a lot in assassin stories.
I don't know. Now they're with Paul Jones, so
Who's Paul Jones?
he's the guy standing on the outside.
Yeah, but like, who is he?
Shit, I'm going to tell you this, right?
Yeah.
I've heard his name. I've
Yeah.
seen his face many times.
Dude,
He's
he
a
has
manager.
23
I know nothing about him.
championship reigns.
I know nothing
He
about
has
him.
had 23 championship reigns.
I don't know
and
what
he
his
led-
gimmick was.
He led the stable referred to as the Paul Jones Army.
The Paul Jones Army?
Paul Jones good. Jones,
Alright,
you
yeah,
good.
he might be the greatest ever. Never mind. I'm sorry, Paul Jones.
Jones, you good. Oh, he's dead. He died 2 years ago. Okay.
Oh.
He also won the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Award for Worst Manager in 1986.
I would just like to say this, right?
Yep.
The assassins here, they get jobber entrance. They don't enter.
Yep.
They win the fucking match!
Against Junkyard Dog and Ivan Koloff.
So, okay, initially when I was watching this match, I thought they just, like, finished it. Like, it was just done. I only realized then when I was like, what the fuck was that finish? I went back and I realized, oh, Paul Jones, like, gave them, like, a thing of metal or something like that they put in their mask when they, like, headbutted.
He headbutted him so
I didn't notice that at first. They just headbutted him and pinned him. I was like, what the fuck? I was like,
Paul
what
Jones
the hell is
leading goal
this?
for Southampton, apparently. Extending his resume.
This... I don't even know what to say about this.
This match
It's fucking
was
magical.
the most confusing thing I've ever... Like, I asked you so many questions. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? And you've just explained the build, and I'm even more confused now. But I don't think I dislike it.
You don't think you dislike it?
I don't think so. It just sounds like my kind of thing. They hired a bunch of assassins, and now the assassins are coming. Look, there's some problems with it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not...
The match? Yeah.
Oh, the match is garbage. All right, I'm not talking about the match here. The match is a zero candidate. Okay, I'm not gonna lie about that one. But I don't think I dislike the whole thing. You know.
You're a psychopath. It's the 80s bollocks that you have to love. Like this is the type of thing that, like, when WWE did, like, Southpaw whatever wrestling or whatever they did that one time where they just parried all, like, the wrestling tropes. This is that. Like, absolutely. Some random fucking masked guys called the Assassins,
The Russian
like, have
assassins.
turned on the dudes who have, like, signed them, and, like, I don't even understand how Ivan Koloff's a face. Like, if the Russian assassins are heels, he's got a big hammer and sickle on his singlet.
Wait. I'm sure. No, Ivan's a heel in this, right?
No, the Russian assassins are the heels.
But I thought the Russian assassins were only the heels because they were going after Nikita.
Yes, but now they turned on Ivan, and so
Yeah.
we're sympathetic towards Ivan.
But I thought we'd be sympathetic towards the Russian assassins.
I don't have all the details. All right, it's very hard to get
Junkyard Dog
information.
is definitely a heel here, right?
No,
No. Okay, that's good because he shouldn't be. But
they're both babyface. They're the baby faces. The assassins are the heels.
I'm so confused.
Listen.
America is the babyface. Okay, we can all agree.
Junkyard Dog is America. It counts. We're good.
True.
Um,
Are we done with this match?
I gave this half of a star.
I don't know what I would give it. It's a 0 candidate, though.
It was generous. I felt good, okay? Coming out of it, I was like, that was my only thing. Was
Rick
that comparatively...
Steiner versus Mike Rotunda.
Comparatively, it was short.
Rick
Anyways.
Steiner versus Mike Rotunda with the Games Master locked in a cage.
First note is, why is Kevin Sullivan in a shirt cage?
Well, I think...
What a fucking finish, buddy.
What a finish! Oh, it was fucking so stupid.
I have literally written down, absolutely moronic ending.
You can tell Dusty's running the show from that.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
dude, with like all the crazy shit that goes down. Like, oh my god.
That was an ultimate, like, Dusty finish. Just like, fuck that shit.
There's a lot of that on this show.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, Jesus.
Although I will say, I liked it, though, because the crowd
I liked
just
it,
go
too.
ape shit for it, for no reason.
They're chanting Syracuse sucks so loud. And Rotunda sells it really well. And there's something actually that is put in by Bob Caudle, one of the commentators. He says, the fans are so loud and so rowdy that Rotunda, who is supposed to be like a thinking man's wrestler, right? Like Steiner's got the power, but Rotunda's like the brains. He can't think because they're so loud. He can't concentrate. I don't know. Just nice little thing there. Oh, it's always interesting when the comms can like add something that I wasn't thinking about
the comms
previously.
were really good all night, I'll mention. I really liked all the comms.
It's mostly just JR. Like JR's just he's 80% of the comms. Every once in a while, Bob Caudle will be like, clothesline.
There were some nice clotheslines on this show too.
Oh, everybody knows how to throw a nice clothesline in the NWA. Good God.
And they can bump.
Actually, everybody could throw a nice clothesline unless you're fucking Stan Lane, apparently, who comes in and he's like, eh.
So actually, yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, this was for me the second best match on the card.
Oh my.
Yeah. I really liked this.
This was my fourth best match on the card.
I see. So yeah, I thought this was great. I thought the finish was really fun. I thought there was a lot of just like there wasn't a lot of filler. I didn't get that bored with it as opposed to some of the other matches.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. It was nice.
Yeah, I said it. Like it's got a really nice pace to it. Like it doesn't feel like there's a great amount of downtime like the other matches previously, especially like both the tag team matches that opened. Obviously, the Assassins match was shorter. But this had a pretty nice pace to it overall. I think they built to their bigger spots enough that
it was really hard for them to follow the main event, but
it like the crowd, like they popped really big for most of the stuff these two were doing, and I think part of that is, just their ability in general to kind of like bait the crowd in and then deliver with like a good spot at the right time. Steiner's power is impressive. I mean, straight up, like Mike Rotunda's not a small dude.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's always something interesting. But yeah, that finish hurt it a lot, in my opinion. And like, obviously, it's like, it's tough because it's always like, well, obviously that's what's intended. That's the intended effect, right? It's supposed to kind of be like, oh man, they're gonna ruin the match, but like, yeah, you still ruined the fucking match, kind of. Like, it's not, like, worthless, obviously, after the finish. But, like, it absolutely screams Dusty Rhodes. So, for anybody who hasn't watched the show, which I assume is everyone, I think we're the only two people alive who have watched this show.
That's probably true, actually. I don't know. Do you think Ric Flair has watched the show?
No. So... Dr. Death runs in, and he tries to distract Rick, but Rick's not having it. He's not being distracted. So then instead, okay, so Rick goes for pin on Rotunda.
Wait, do you say Teddy only managed ref the tag team matches?
Yeah.
I'm sure Teddy's reffing this match.
Oh, you're right, he is, because this is the one where, what's his name appears? Tommy Young or whatever appears, and then he refs the rest of the matches, the big matches. I mean, Obviously not the big match, but the bigger matches. You know what I mean? Like it's no Russian Assassins.
No.
But yeah. So Dr. Death rings the bell, which confuses Teddy. Teddy's like, I didn't call for no bell. What's going on here? And he turns around. And so then all of a sudden, Kevin Sullivan's shark cage starts to lower.
Yeah, because the match is over.
Bob Cottle's like, oh man, the guy controlling the cage must also be confused. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
The match is over, yeah.
And so then Sullivan gets on the apron to try to distract Steiner. But then Steiner throws Rotunda into Sullivan and then rolls him up and wins. And I'm like, that whole thing was fucking useless. Like, we could have just done that with Dr. Death. Like, you know what I mean? We could have just had Dr. Death come up and be like, oh, you... Because he does that at one point, you know what I mean? And then we could just throw him into that.
Wouldn't have been as into it.
Oh, dude, the crowd pop at the end is fucking crazy. Yeah, they are... You think he won the fucking world title.
Yeah, partially because of all the bullshit, yeah.
Like, it's the television title. I looked it up. Rotunda had been reigning as television champion since January. So it's a lengthy title reign coming to an end. So that could be part of it. But yeah, no, the people are really, really high on Rick Steiner here. They're really, really excited to see him.
The promo afterwards is so bad.
I did, yeah. He's like, the champion. Rar, rar, rar. And like my favorite part was that Magnum like fucked up like introducing him. Even he's like, the world television champion. I'm here with you on a night that is big. Yeah, it's a big night on your career.
They must have been lying here or something, right?
Yeah, like it's like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, are you okay? No, I actually think they're pre-recorded because they keep throwing to Tony and Magnum up in the booth every once in a while, right? So they must be pre-recorded, which means, oh my.
Yeah, it's so low budget.
Yikes, guys. Yeah. Yikes. Yeah, Magnum's a sad fucking story, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
I've never seen anything of Magnum's, but I've been told that he had a lot of potential. I don't know. I can't back that up, but I believe that's the general consensus opinion, that he had a lot of potential to be something big.
That's what I've been told, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
you ready to get to a really fucking awesome match?
I like this match too. Yeah, go on.
I really fucking like this.
I thought this was a lot of fun.
I should just say, Rick Steiner, Mike Rotunda, I give it 2.75.
I go a whole star higher, likely.
It's fair enough. Bam Bam Bigelow, Barry Windham.
Barry.
I'm going to say this right now. 1988 Barry Windham is the fucking man.
He is a lot of fun.
That dude is fucking awesome. And this is like, maybe it's just so like night and day for me because I've been watching 1999 WCW on and off where he's like Gardner Windham. He comes out in like yellow gardener's gloves and he's like old as fuck. Like, I have to remember this is 11 years previous, so it shouldn't really shock me, but he's so good. Like, he's so good. And it's so weird, but it's something that I only noticed here. Actually, no, I've noted it a couple times, and I'll note it again later in the match coming up, even. Wyndham's punches are really nice. Like, I don't know if you've noticed that at all.
Yeah,
His punches have a really nice snap. They sound great, too. I really like this.
It was a lot of fun brawl. There was a lot of fiery babyface stuff coming from Burry, and Bam Bam's okay. He's not awful.
Bam Bam is the babyface, Putty. Thank you.
What? Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Barry's part of the Four Horsemen. He's a heel.
Oh yeah, no, I'm misremembering this actually.
Okay, he's booked as a heel.
No,
the people love him.
Yeah, I'm actually misremembering this. It was actually Bam Bam's babyface fire. I liked a lot.
I was gonna say, yeah. I literally have written down, Bam Bam is full of that fire, man. Like, he's such a fun babyface.
I literally watched this like an hour ago, but I'm sure at some point it transitions into Burry getting some babyface fire, right?
He does for a little while, yeah.
This show is very weird on that, I guess.
There is something that has to be said, though.
Yeah.
It's 1988.
Yeah.
And we're doing the Claw as a finisher.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot wrong with Bam Bam. In my opinion.
No, it's Barry who does the Claw.
What? I watched this like an hour ago.
Puts the Claw on Bam Bam. And he kind of makes up for it because he's really entertaining. He like starts laughing. He's like, "I got him!" And he looks over. He's like, "JJ, I got him. He's mine." And they flash from JJ. He's like, "Yeah, you do." And he's like, "I got him."
Did he have him?
No, he didn't. Bam Bam got out.
Jeez. I should rewatch this.
I think the finish was kind of weak though, just because of its nature. I mean, it's never great to make your babyface look like a fucking idiot, and it's not helped when the comms also make him look like a fucking idiot. Did you hear the comm line I'm kind of referencing there?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so it's a count-out finish.
Yeah.
And JR says, "I'm not sure Bam Bam even knew a count was going on." I'm like, holy fucking shit. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, JR, no. Yeah, that kind of sucked. It's weird. This could be my favorite match on the show. I'm not sure. Like, it's very close with what I did end up calling my favorite match of the show. It was the main event. But I don't know. I looking back, I might be higher on this, to be honest.
Really?
This was really fun. Wyndham, I think, is really good here. And I don't know how much of that is Bam Bam, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'd have to look into more Bam Bam Bigelow stuff to figure out what the bigger carry job is.
Maybe there isn't one. There's not always a carry job.
I know, but the main event is.
Wow! Alright. How long do you want to spend on this tag team match? Because I don't think I want to spend long on it.
I gave Bam Bam Wyndham a 3.75.
Okay.
Dusty and Sting, Legion of Doom. I don't have much written here anyways. I can just run through it if you want.
Sure, go for it.
I have no idea what the context of this is outside of the angle where the Legion of Doom stabbed Dusty Rhodes in the eye with the steel pipe. We've seen the
for an eye.
Yeah, it's an iconic angle. Yeah, I have Sting's really athletic.
Sure.
Dusty's Hulk up is fucking amazing because he just like starts like shaking himself around. I'm like, all right, that's kind of fun. Sting's punches suck. Decent finish. 3 stars.
3? That's pretty high.
3.
Wow.
Yeah, I liked it.
Wow.
It was a decent brawl, I thought. Did what it needed to do. None of these guys are going to like knock your socks off, I don't think. Crowd, I think, helped a lot too, definitely, in my perception of it.
Get ready for a putty take.
No, you go right ahead, dude.
This was the worst match on the show.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Worse than...
Yeah.
Oh my.
These
assassins are rolling in their grave. It's all that they had. Wow, you said near 0 for the assassins. Is this a 0 for you?
Oh no, okay, that's fair enough. I think in terms of star rating, it'll probably be higher.
Okay.
But I had the least amount of fun with this match. I guess that's probably a better way of putting it. Yeah. That's actually fair. That's a good call. But yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't give this more than a 2, maybe.
Yeah.
I get having more fun with it though. I just it's a cooldown match. It's in a cooldown spot. It is what it is.
It's I think probably the worst part about it is that the Legion of Doom are supposed to be this like big dominant tag team. They don't look that big nor dominant here, so it doesn't really work. Their selling kind of sucks. That's like a known fact though about the Legion of Doom. They don't sell well. I don't know. I think Sting's still young here. He's not. I mean, I don't know if you'd ever like think that Sting is like a top tier wrestler. But he's certainly not what he'd be even a couple years later here. Dusty is fine here. I don't know. I didn't take away much from this, to be honest, but I thought it was good. I did think it was good. I think it did what it was supposed to do. I liked the
That I
finish.
agree with.
I liked the finish. I don't know if you liked it or not, but I liked it.
I'll be
Especially
honest, I can't really remember it.
it was a DQ.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh
the
yeah,
Legion of
no, I
Doom,
did like that actually. But
yeah,
kind of.
they're about to be beat, and Ellering steps in and attacks
See, for
Sting. I
me
think it
though,
was.
I put that in the same category as the U.S. title finish. I know you clearly don't, but that's the same for me. Where it's like, yeah, it works well if it's satisfying, and it just didn't seem to land as well as the U.S. title finish did.
That's interesting because to me, I would say it did. Like the idea that like the Legion of Doom is this big, dominant tag team, and to stop them from taking a loss or losing their belts, they'd rather like take the DQL. I don't know. I just thought it worked better for the characters compared to like the Fantastics, who are this like underdog babyface tag team, and them almost kicking out from Doctor
US
Death.
U.S. title, U.S. singles title, or it's a TV title. Sorry, yeah, TV title. That's what I meant. Not the not the first match on the card.
Oh, the
World TV title.
oh, so the crazy fucking
Yeah, bullshit.
oh, really? Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. You ready for the main event?
We already did the main event.
Oh, are you ready for Ric Flair versus Lex Luger for the World Heavyweight Championship?
I am. I thought this was great. This was a great brawl. It was some good, it's like extended submission selling that I thought both guys were good. Both men got very sweaty. There's some fun stuff in it. The finish was interesting and fun. Flair is crazy good. Luger is actually pretty good here. What did you think?
I pretty much got the exact same things here, aside from the fact that I think Luger fails a lot in his role.
Luger's selling is really impressive to me in this match.
I think that the big thing for Luger here is that he lacks like babyface fire, and that's what this match is built around. It's built around like Flair working down Luger, and then Luger hulking back up, or Luger working down Flair, and then Flair taking a shortcut to get back in. And it's kind of the dynamic of how the two of them go about business.
I can feel that actually when I think about it. Like he's not that interesting when he's in peril, compared to some other guys like
the big thing, obviously, to compare it to, I think later on is Sting, like the guy who ultimately like kind of would take that mantle from Flair.
I'm not particularly high on Sting.
Even just his ability to like be charismatic and like.
Yeah, I think that's an uncontroversial take, but it's not what I would give. I think I'd throw out someone of the era might be Dusty, or someone who does this style of match a lot. It would be Tanahashi, who has a better kind of role in these kind of spots.
I do think Luger turns it around though near the end, especially when he's in the figure four and he like looks up at Flair and just fucking flexes right in his face. I was like, oh shit! I was like, I was wrong actually. Luger can do fiery a little bit.
Yeah, anytime he tries to anytime he's in the figure four or when he puts his own figure four on Flair is a highlight spot for him in this match, I think.
Yeah. I really. There's like subtle things in here, like smaller things, Deborah, that I looked at specifically. Not like subtle, obviously. Fucking, there's subtlety in wrestling. No, there isn't.
This wrestling.
No. Luger opens and he focuses on Ric Flair's arm, which I thought was fucking weird. I didn't know if there was an injury spot or something like that I missed. But it is brought back up later on.
Yeah, Flair's chops, man. They deadly.
That's true, Flair's chops, but also Flair tries to put a headlock on Luger. And Luger just pushes him off because his arm isn't strong enough to hold it properly. I really like that. I don't necessarily know why. Like, it's not like, Flair's known. I guess the chops, yeah. But really what you're worried about is the leg lock. And then what he could do to your leg from there.
Luger underestimated the leg lock. That's why the finish happened.
Luger underestimated a chair to the fucking knee.
The chair ain't got nothing on fucking 10 minutes in a leg lock.
I liked it, the finish there with the knee buckling.
Yeah.
Obviously Flair tried to get his foot on the ropes last second to like do that kind of angle, but I think he was out of position. It just didn't look great.
I thought the foot on the ropes was actually relatively smooth. I thought the transition could have been smoother, and I've seen smoother. Like, I like the idea, but it was coming down off of the I forget the name of the move. What was he in? The torture rack?
Torture rack, yeah.
So coming down off the torture rack and then transitioning into a pinfall. It was nice. I think he was clearly trying to land on him. That would have been cooler if it pulled off.
Yeah.
It could have been a bit smoother, but...
yeah, I think it's just how Luger landed, and then how Flair kind of had to like contort his body, almost like he was like he had to like kind of almost like switch up the position of his pin, kind of, to put his foot on the rope. Which, now I think about it, is something that even like if you were looking at it in like a very like realistic sense or something like that, like the referee would probably notice something like that. But either way, I just didn't think it looked as clean as it could have been. I think if he'd even just rolled Luger up out of the torture rack, it would have been better. Like if he like somehow like forced his momentum forward and then rolled him up and held his leg, something like that. I thought that would have been way cleaner. I assumed that's what it was going to be, actually. When the knee started to kind of go, I was like, oh shit, he's going to roll him up. I'm like, fuck yeah, it's exactly what like you mentioned or whatever the other week. I'm like, that's really awesome that's that finish. And it wasn't. But either way, I think it's the same effect. The idea that the leg lock didn't do him in, but it did enough damage to where Luger couldn't execute his big power moves. I kind of forgo. Yeah, I guess forgoed is the right word. The story on this, it's kind of straightforward. Luger was a member of the Four Horsemen, a rising star, and eventually Flair just kicked him out, got a little intimidated by Luger's presence. And so Luger's been gunning for him ever since.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
It was good. It was great, actually, in my opinion.
Yeah, I went 4 stars on this.
I think I would probably give it exactly the same.
I didn't mention many of the promos on this show. There aren't very many, actually. There's the Rotunda one.
We did mention the Steiner one.
And then this Ric Flair one after. I said it was fun. Did you end up listening to it at all?
No, I didn't.
It's it's a normal shouty Ric Flair promo. The difference between me and you, Luger, is like I do what it takes to win. The Four Horsemen, we do what it takes to win. And then there's a really fucking crazy line where Flair says, "And Luger, you're done. That's it. I'm going to make sure you never fight for this world title against me again. It's going to take a lot of money, but I'm going to pay off the NWA. I'm going to fix the game. You're never going to fight me for this belt again. You blew it, brother. You blew it." Like, it's just so fucking cool, that idea. I was like, oh my God. Because whenever he's like, it's going to take a lot of money, but money ain't an issue. I was like, oh my God, that's such a cool idea. Ultimately, I think there are some people who could see Luger failing on the biggest show of the year is a bad thing. But I don't think Luger was ever going to be that guy. And I don't think he would have done well in that role. 1994 Vince McMahon. But
yeah, I think if we're going to talk about that a little bit more broadly, it's hard because I think you, and to some extent me too, look back at that as like a pretty positive product. But it did eventually fail. I think a lot of that has to do with the heel territory. Because those, just instinctively, like not instinctively, but just generally, those things tend to not do as successfully as face territories do. I don't know. I don't think Luger was. I think Luger probably should have won this if we're talking like booking.
Booking wise, yes, absolutely. But I think in the long run, it's the better call. I mean, might just be
in the long run though, because like I don't know about that either. I think in the long run, like Flair can take the L here and then just win it back in a month, and you've got pretty much
which is what he did most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's fair, maybe, but yeah, I don't know. I just think that if you were to do. No, I guess you're right.
I think it's actually a really bad booking to do all of this, because if you're ending the show with your beloved babyface is never fighting for the world belt again, people are like, oh, I guess this is the end of the show.
Well, that's the thing. Flair literally saying you blew it, like it's just like Lex Luger's a fucking choker. I'm like, that's it. He's done.
That's
like,
the end of the show. That is like, there's no reason to tune in next week.
That was absolutely my takeaway from that. Just like, you're done, Lex. And the fact that he does actually rebound from that and becomes a pretty decent star still going forward.
Yeah, because there's an element of like, oh well, now he's got to overcome the odds, but it's probably not
They never do that.
show to do it.
Also they never do this again. I don't think they ever really follow up on Luger Flair.
Because
So
Steamboat's coming in now, right? So
yeah, Steamboat will be January '89, literally next month. So yeah,
yeah.
bye Lex. Hope you had fun.
Hope you enjoyed.
Um,
So yeah, have you got anything else to talk about this show?
I have two general questions actually,
Okay.
and they're specifically for you or whatever. For myself, so when we were booking South the Border there,
Yeah.
you would talk about like babyface territory.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't a babyface territory inherently have the belt on a babyface?
It depends on how you look at it. But the way
Okay.
I look at a babyface territory is that they go over on all the big shows and they win in the end. And it's this idea, it's this fantasy idea of the world is inherently aligned good. Like the deities, the pantheon, the way the world is constructed is good, which means just inherently this is very inherent in Star Wars. Like the magic of the world is good. So
Right.
eventually the good will defeat the evil, right? So so the whole concept of the show is we're just figuring out how the good is going to defeat the evil and what it takes to do so, what they lose along the way. And so but the money's always in the chase, right? So
Right.
you've always got to have a bad guy. And that could well be a babyface guy who's just fighting a cavalcade of villains. Sorry, a babyface champion who's fighting a cavalcade of villains, and we're trying to figure out how long they're going to be able to hold on against overwhelming odds. But usually, the easier story to tell is babyface wants the belt and has to find his way to it. And so that I'd say that.
Yeah, I like that description a lot actually. That clear because I was debating this sort of the other day when I thought about like because like obviously the NWA is like a heel territory, but like then like comparing that to our South of the Border booking, where most of the time it was villains who had the belt. It's like you know what I mean. It's just something that kind of cleared that up for me. Actually, I like that a lot.
One good distinction to make is that Millonario was probably the longest reigning champion in our South of the Border, and the show was never about multi-Millonario, whereas this show is clearly about Flair.
It's about the Four Horsemen, period.
Yeah, sure.
Because even then, like, who's the second biggest star in this show? At least
Dusty?
probably Dusty, but I mean, in terms of like performance, watching it, it's Barry. You know what I mean? Like he's the second Burry. You got him, Burry. But yeah, to me at least, it's Barry. You know what I mean? It's obviously kind of built towards that, and then maybe Dusty.
I mean,
Dusty's
honestly, I would say the second biggest stars presented on the show are the Varsity Club.
I'm gonna say fucking Dr. Death is probably third. Like he gets over so big. I'm like, oh my god, he's massively powerful.
And the fucking Games Master is a prominent feature for about an hour of this show.
Literally, like local sneaky games master.
Local bad PE teacher.
Shit PE teacher Kevin Sullivan.
So yeah, I think that's like that would be like the big deal. If you look at like all of the like the story, like I guess maybe El Pud, but even El Pud didn't have that much. And a lot of his arc was like babyfacey, even though he was a heel. A
lot of my arc was very heel, even though I was a babyface. We really were fucking.
Wrong,
we really were miscast in that. Whatever.
Yeah, we really were. But
it's all right.
But yeah, I think that's the Champagne Lover.
I like that.
Was just inherently, we just assumed he would always go for. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, I like that though. That description of it with the idea that like the world is aligned in a certain way.
Yeah.
I actually really like that. That makes a lot of sense.
I mean, yeah, if you think about it, it's very much based in fantasy, where most of the gods and the things that created the world are aligned good, and it's about like rooting out the corruption rather than
right.
Yeah.
And then my other question. This is weird because it's either going to be like something so simple. I can't believe I've like missed it or something like that. How would you define smoke and mirrors? Because you talk about that a lot, and I'm like, I think I get it sometimes, but then you say that Steiner Rotunda's smoke and mirrors, and I don't see that for the entirety of the match.
Not for the
Like, I
entirety
see
of the match. It's just the end. It is just the end, and that might make
okay,
it
so
easier
it's
for you.
like general like overbooking, use of gimmicks or something like that. It's just anything to hide the fact that these two aren't that great.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I describe it that way. It's definitely not simple though. It's definitely not a simple concept. I would say it is using easy, easy devices to achieve crowd reactions that are, I guess always like yeah, easy devices to achieve crowd reactions is a good phrase, but it's always there's only a certain. I would say with smoke and mirrors, there's only ever a certain pool you can pull from. Like you're only ever gonna get one reaction, right? If you have Bubba Ray do the get the table spot, right? There's always going to be that reaction. It's never going to evolve. It's never going to grow. You can't build to a get the tables. You know what I mean? You can't build off of a get the tables. It just you throw it out there and it happens. If you hit an RKO, or if you hit a low blow, or if you hit a chair shot, if you have a foot on the rope spot, if you throw someone through some thumbtacks or hit them with a glass light tube or something, it's always going to be like one reaction. And Smoke and Mirrors is just doing it because you've ran out of other things to do, because there's a lull in the match and you would like to pop the crowd, or something like that. It's usually just like throw it out there, get a crowd reaction, because rather than thinking about it, because these things can be placed in a structure where the match flows very nicely and you build the crescendos and stuff like that. And Smoke and Mirrors is just simply when you've lost the crowd doing something that pops them but doesn't build, like it hasn't been built to and is not being built off of. It's a style of match where you just do things at various points to pop the crowd without structuring them in a way where it's more than just that one spot. It is just a loose collection of crowd popping spots. Is probably the way I think the simplest way to define it is a loose collection of crowd popping spots. That's how I would define Smoke and Mirrors. And some people might define that as wrestling, and that's fine. So
that's good to know. Yeah, that's in general what I assumed it was, but it was just nailing that down, because I mean, like, I don't know why I didn't ask for clarification on that earlier, because like it was such a big part of like the Randy Orton stuff we were talking about a little while ago.
Ironically, I don't think there's a lot of Smoke and Mirrors in the Orton matches. I think we did talk about it on a few of them though.
Yeah, the big one was the Triple H Last Man Standing match or whatever.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see that one though when we were talking about it. So yeah.
Oh,
because remember that wasn't part of the. Or I guess it wasn't in the ones yeah, that's right. It was in the.
Yeah, it was in the dead period that you did not want to watch.
Well, I wanted to. I just didn't have the time.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
You chose not to watch out of what you have.
There were some matches in there that I didn't want to watch, like the Edge
Iron Man?
one, the Iron Man one.
Yeah, that was painful.
Shawn Michaels one. Honestly, the Iron Man one I was okay with watching over the ones I really didn't want to watch were the Edge and Shawn Michaels ones.
Yeah, the Edge one, that one was weird. Anyways, yeah. Overall thoughts on Starrcade '88?
I think it was a lot of fun. There are worse ways to spend 2.5 hours watching wrestling for sure. It's very much eye-opening to me to see the style of the time. It's very much a bunch of people who can't wrestle with a style that very much fits its audience, with an audience that I don't want to say this without being belittling. It's a very different audience than the ones we've had in like the last 2 decades. They're clearly here for a thing, and they know what, and the NWA know how to give it to them. But it does also feel like it's not sustainable, because I do think things like the main event ends up with people eventually saying, I don't want to watch this anymore. And in order for this to kind of keep momentum, you need to be finding lightning in a bottle baby faces every so often. I think like if you just poof Ricky Steamboat out of existence, the end of this decade looks really bleak for this company. And especially like the start of the next decade. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think there is a problem with the way it's booked, because nobody on this card, like there is this is clear to me that it's not just the WWE. This is American Sports End booking from the very beginning. That there is like 6 guys that the bookers want to push, and then everybody else is, you can workshop your character, but we're not going to protect you. Like you are just a guy. Like you can try your best to get over, but we're not going to help. There is just a quagmire of like 20 people on the undercard that nobody should for any reason give a shit about. And occasionally, it seems like the crowd do anyway, because the Rick Steiner thing proves that.
Oh,
But
they love him.
but they put the work in for that. To be fair, there's some good wrestling there. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's very strange. It's very fun. It's very watchable, but I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think you can do this week in, week out, and like this is clearly if and also this isn't like peak. If this is peak as well, then it's not a particularly high peak, right? Because that's the thing. You said this is probably the most well-regarded Starrcade. I
Yeah,
don't think
apparently.
this is like a legendary show by any means. I think the main event is great. The rest of the card is okay. I can name 5 shows that are better, just off the top of my head. So yeah, I don't think it's amazing. I think that there are better ways. Like it doesn't scream to me a product that is firing on all cylinders. And there's like 3 guys I came away impressed with on this show, and that's like Rick Steiner and I guess Wyndham
Burry.
Burry. So
Um,
yeah, I guess that's my conclusion. Is I think it's fun, and it's I see why pro wrestling has such a root in easy, fun to watch crap, but at the same time, it's obvious even watching this that it's not something that can lead to like peaks and peaks.
yeah. Something that I was thinking of there was that like on and off, it's discussed how WWE is so good at putting on like super cards and stuff like that, and the idea that I'm not sure like when you look at like all like the WrestleManias even or something like that, right? These shows that are supposed to be like the biggest show of the year, and compare them to all the Starrcades. I don't think there's a comparison even to be made. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that just for spectacle, WrestleMania. I think for overall card quality, probably WrestleMania. Like, I mean, I don't. What is Mania? What is that, 4? Oh, that's the Savage tournament. Ooh, shit. Maybe 88's just a bad year for wrestling.
See, I've never, I don't know, I've never watched '80s American wrestling. Really, it's just not. I just don't know that much about it, so I have no idea.
Yeah, this is the year-long Savage title run going on in the WF. This is the Savage title run, and then him turning heel, which leads to the Mega Powers Explodes in a couple months. 89 is going to be fucking great for both companies. Mostly thanks to the 2 guys who are working on top, not anybody else. But yeah, it's weird because I think the NWA and the people who watch the NWA at the time, I think they'd say that it and the WF were 2 very different products, and I just don't see it.
I don't.
You know what I mean?
At all, yeah. Well, actually, I tell you what. There's a heart. There is a heart to this product that is very sportsy, and you can.
I was gonna say
that.
you feel it. It's the
Yeah.
presentation, I think, too. Even
And
like,
a lot
it
of
feels
this stuff
sportsy.
ends up, yeah. You still, it's weird you don't see this style of thing in the U.S. anymore because you see it elsewhere. But yeah, there is a feel to it, but yeah, the products aren't necessarily different, but they do have a, yeah. There's a heart to it that's slightly different, but it doesn't end up changing much.
It's always just so interesting to me to like look at these 2 and then consider the fact that the NWA thought of itself as like so much like higher than the WF. Like, you know what I mean? Like I kind of mentioned it jokingly, but like, oh, we're not that cartoon shit or whatever. Cue the Russian assassins and like
Everybody's a fucking blonde goddess.
Yeah, like I don't know, like just in a product that's supposed to feel very like mature and stuff like that, it's not that different compared to what like they would turn around and be like, oh, the WF, that's kiddie shit. You know what I mean? Like it's not that much different.
I don't even know if it's different
just
at all. Really, it just has like.
It's just slightly more pessimistic because the heels win.
I suppose that is true. But yeah, like half of this show was concerned with a college fucking sports team breaking up, Like, that shit is so alien to me when you actually watch it. It's crazy.
I don't think any baby faces here, except for Rick Steiner, go over like clean.
Rick Steiner I wouldn't call going over clean in that match.
That's true, and the Midnight Express also goes over via interference. I don't think anybody goes over clean on this show.
Well, that's Dusty.
Except for the Varsity Club.
That's Dusty for you.
No, because the Varsity Club gets the kick out. Oh my god, there's no clean finishes on this show. Holy shit, I didn't even notice. I mean, props to fucking Dusty for me not noticing that until now.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, wow, that's actually really interesting. That is definitely like a Dusty Rhodes thing. But credit to him doing it in so many different ways. You know what I mean? Because if each of the way that it wasn't a clean finish was the exact same as like the next or something like that, I think I would have picked up on it.
Yeah.
But I think they're all varied. It's literally every single fucking way you can not have a clean finish is done on this show. There's a count out, there's a DQ, there's interference, there's botched interference, there's a match with tons of interference, there's a match where somebody holds their foot on the ropes.
Oh, do you see it?
And there's one where they kick out just late. Wow.
Which match was it where someone was trying to use the... I think it was the main, right? In the main, someone was trying to use the ropes for Levkovich, and the referee just kept kicking the rope.
Yeah, no, Flair was using the ropes to try to break the hold, and the ref just kept kicking his hands away. I was like, ref, no! It's like, what? And it was so funny, too, because it was, I swear, like, 3 minutes prior, JR was like, referee Tommy Young, he might not like Ric Flair, but he's calling this one right down the middle, because that's how things go around here.
So you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's because it might be a rule thing, where you've got to have, like, a firm grasp of the ropes, and Flair might have, like, had his fingers on it, and he was looking at the ref like, I've got a firm grasp, and the ref kicks it to make sure, and then Flair just falls off of it.
I think that might actually be the case, because when he does break it, Flair's, like, fully, like, gripped onto the rope, and then he breaks it. Both the times, it is just, like, a hand. So maybe, like, him kicking the rope would be, like,
show
a test.
Flair. Yeah, it's to show Flair that you don't have a good hold on it, you know what I mean? Like,
I like that, actually. The other thing that's weird is that, obviously, I don't know if we're doing this rule set at the time, but every once in a while, the commentators will be like, oh, man, he almost threw him over the top rope. And I'm like, oh, no. When that's mentioned in one of the matches, I'm like, oh, no. But then there are multiple times where dudes get thrown over the top rope and just nothing happens, and I'm like, oh,
maybe
okay.
It's just like that would be pretty impressive or something, you know what I mean?
No. Like, they full on are like, it's not a DQ finish, because, like, whatever, he didn't intend to throw over the top rope. It's in the Wyndham Bigelow match or something like that, where he's like, oh, Bam Bam didn't mean to knock over the top rope, so it's not a DQ. And then, like, Luger throws Flair over the top rope at one point, and nothing happens. And I'm like, what the fuck?
It's not in the title matches, you know? Or in the main event.
That was also a title match.
Sorry, the World Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, okay, it's different.
There are different rule sets for different territories.
80s wrestling.
So, yeah. Well, yeah. Do you have anything else to say about the show?
It was fun.
It was fun. Alright. Should we do the most recent Starrcade now as for our next show?
Recent Starrcade. Oh, gee, like the one that was the WWE held? The one that's like an hour and has like 2 matches?
Yeah, the best Starrcade of all time, so I hear. The best WWE Starrcade, at least.
I'll tell you what the best WCW Starrcade is, apparently.
Okay. I thought it was this
It was... No, because this is the best NWA Starrcade.
Oh my god, okay.
I was looking at this era. Okay, thank you. Because I think there's 2 very different things here.
Really?
Because the other one also isn't very... The other one is good, but not because of it has anything to do with WCW.
Can I also point out that this style, this show, is no different than the stuff AEW is doing today? I'm just going to put it out there. I'm almost certain of it. I haven't seen that much of it, but I saw some of it back in like I watched the first show, right? With the was it an MSG?
Right. No, it was somewhere in Vegas.
It was in Vegas, yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I'd have a hard time saying that, but I don't know that you're wrong. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I don't want to immediately agree with that, but I can't 110% say you're wrong or not, just because I think wrestling in and of itself has changed so much, and what is acceptable has changed so much.
Yes.
It's definitely possible that kind of where this is and where AEW is, it's like the exact same thing, but with different standards.
Oh,
I don't know.
Makes a decent point that we should do WrestleMania 4 to compare them, but I don't know. I don't want to.
Oh, WrestleMania 4 is really bad. I wouldn't want to do it.
Isn't there also a case to be made that this would be more competing with WrestleMania 5?
Which I would be willing to do, because that's Hogan Savage.
Oh boy, I don't want to watch any of the WWF from this period because I'll have putty takes and people won't
be happy. We could just move on with.
I'd like to
watch. Just stick with this and watch the Steamboat trilogy.
The quadrilogy. I would.
Oh, you're right. It is 4.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that, or going back and watching Flair and Wyndham.
Flair and Wyndham.
Yeah.
Flair fought Wyndham?
Yeah, those matches are pretty highly regarded. Hold on, let me make sure.
Dude.
Let me make sure I'm not talking out my ass here.
Maybe Barry Wyndham's just the man.
Burry.
I've been hating on him the entire time. Love you, Barry.
Burry and Flair have some pretty well regarded matches in 87, 86, 87. And then also there are some Flair versus Jumbo Churata matches that I'd like to watch. So
if you pull a list together, I'll watch them.
I'm not going to pull a massive list together.
No, I mean even just an okay-sized one.
Well, we could just watch the 4 Steamboat matches first.
We could, yes.
And by
then
first,
see what we want to do
over the course of like 4 weeks. So.
Oh, okay. I
can watch whatever you want.
Oh, do you want to watch the full shows that each of those are on then?
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Well, then why would we space them out for like a week?
Because wrestling is hard to watch, Tucker.
All right, fair enough.
Wrestling is difficult to watch, Tucker.
Especially considering more or less we're kind of stalling right now, like with Sundays, because we're waiting on the Seaverse 1997 mod.
Are you?
We are.
I like you say we. I'll do it. I have no opinion on what we do on Sundays. Are you streaming? Are we planning on? Hold on, I'm gonna end the podcast. Then we can hang out for a bit.
Okay, bye.
Thanks all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys next week or next time or sometime.
We'll see you.